Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today. So let's begin our session with a wonderful quote. Sleep is an investment in the energy you need to be more effective tomorrow. So for starting a new chapter of learning, I, Chidalla Karthik, being your host for today's event, wants to extend a warming greet and good evening to all of you present here. I hope you are doing amazing. As we know that sleep is an essential for optimal cognitive function, including memory, problem solving, and decision making. A well researched mind is more alert, creativity, and productivity. While sleeping itself is a superpower, the benefit it provides is essential for success in all aspects of life. On being of the whole SIMS family, I welcome you all for today's international webinar on this topic, sleep the superpower of success. And to add our guest of honor and today's speaker, Mr. Manohar Grandi, it is a great honor to you have with us, sir. We are grateful for your presence. Now, let me introduce today's speaker, Manohar Grandi, to you all. He has been working in the software industry for the last 15 years. In 2019, he struggled with insomnia and was living in depression to sleep. And he had consulted with psychologists who helped them to certain extent, but he was disappeared to fix the problem. But that during his struggle, he was researching. He found out about the practice of meditation. He expected instant result with the meditation too, but unfortunately that was not the case. But there he was stuck with the meditation with the time anxiety completely reduced and he had no problem with sleep. And he decided to write a book about his journey and it is called My Sleep Nights and it is available on Amazon. Now over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Karthik and everyone. So let's start today's presentation. Yeah, so as Karthik has briefly mentioned, the presentation is about sleep, the silent hero of success. Okay, so first I'd like to start thanking you all for joining this presentation. And I want to actually start with a very small story, some story which I have read somewhere. Okay, so the story goes something like this. Many times, what happens is we think that we know a lot of things. Okay, so there was a very learned professor from a very reputed college. Okay, he wanted to learn about meditation and mindfulness. So he goes to a monk. He goes to a monk and he says that he starts talking. Okay, the monk also wants to talk about the power of meditation and mindfulness. But then the thing is, the person who is a learned professor, whenever the monk is saying something, right? He says, ah, yeah, I know that, I can tell that, and starts blabbering and he starts giving so many things. Okay, so but then what happens is, okay, the monk decides that let's do something. So the monk says, like, let's have some tea. Okay, so the monk gives him a teacup and then starts pouring in the tea. Okay, starts pouring, and then the tea gets overflowed. Okay, but then he doesn't stop there. He keeps on pouring. He keeps on pouring. He keeps on pouring. So the professor is thinking, what is it? Is Has the monk gone nuts or what? Why is he keeping on pouring? And he says, stop it. What are you doing? So the monk then says that. This is exactly the problem with the mindset you are going with. You think that, just like the cup which is full, you come with a cup full attitude, you will not learn anything, because everything will just keep flowing. First, whenever you want to learn anything, be it sleep, be it anything, you need to empty your cup and then come with an attitude to learn. Okay. So having said that, I like to first start off with a brief introduction about myself. Yeah, already Karthik has introduced about me. Thank you, Karthik. Yeah, so I am working in the software industry since 2008, and like Karthik said, in 2019 I faced insomnia and I was on anti-anxiety pills. So yeah, so this is me who is just laying down and reading my own book. Yeah, so my book is called My Sleepless Nights. Okay, let me first start with this. Okay, so I see most of the audience are students. Okay, so I just want to know this thing. So, how many of you have alarm in the morning saying that it's time to wake up? So You could also unmute. Yeah, Anjali. Yes, that's good. So how many? I think Karthik. Yeah. Anyone else has an alarm to say that it's time to wake up? Okay. Mansa is saying yes. Chanda. Who else? So okay. So that's really good that some of you have an alarm to. Yeah, you can lower your hands. Okay. Yeah. So my next question to you: how many of you have this an alarm to say that it's time to sleep? Yeah, I want to see your responses. Anyone has an alarm to say it's time to sleep?
No, sir.
No, not even one.
No, sir.
Okay, sorry. Who? Someone did a thumbs up.
Anjali
Mansa.
Gupta.
Mansa did a thumbs up. So Mansa, you have an alarm to say that it's time to sleep.
Yeah, yeah, yes, sir.
That's very good. Okay. Yeah. So I hope at least two to three people have raised their things, right? So by the end of this presentation, I hope that at least few people will now understand why you should put an alarm to go to sleep. Okay. So yeah, I'll briefly discuss this. Okay. So this is actually called as sleep drive. Okay. So the way it works is, for example, I'm talking just my case. Okay. Today morning, actually, let's say that I woke up at 6:30. Okay. So when I was at 6:30, my sleep drive is this much only. So, but actually, see, just like water boils at 100 degrees centigrade, right? So when water, you can think something, you can imagine something like the temperature is just something like around 15, 20 degrees centigrade when I'm just about to wake up. So if you, at 6:30, if you ask me to go to sleep, I can't go to sleep because my the sleepiness threshold is not built up. Okay, but let's say that at 10, 15, 10:30 kind of a thing. So if you ask me to concentrate, do some work and all those things, I can't do it. I'll start yawning, I'll start doing this, I'll start when is the time to go to sleep, and all these kinds of things will come. Okay, so this is because when the sleepiness threshold has been attained. Okay, so this is what happens. And once you sleep, the minute you sleep, again the sleep drive keeps on going down, going down, going down, going down until maybe let's this is the typical cycle. This is how we have to associate a sleep drive. Okay, so yeah, so let's understand why sleep is really important. Okay, so let's say, God forbid, like the place where you are staying suddenly catches a fire. Okay, the first thing you will do is you will somehow run to your washroom or whatever, and then you will start throwing water or sand or whatever to control the fire, right? So this is actually at that point what it needs is it needs our body, our heartbeat to rise, our blood pressure to rise, our everything to rise. So similarly, when you are rushing to your college or your workplace, so you need to work and do things which are faster. Okay, so that is the case when what happens is sympathetic nervous system. So our body has a nervous system which is the thing that gets activated is called sympathetic nervous system. Okay. Exact opposite of this is called parasympathetic nervous system. Parasympathetic nervous system is responsible for the rest or digest. So let's say that you are just sitting by a lake and doing nothing. Okay. There is no danger. Cool breeze is blowing. So imagine that those kinds of situations. In that case, what gets activated is called as a parasympathetic nervous system. Okay. So just imagine for imagination, I'm showing this image. Okay, so yeah, this brings to the question like how much time you think that yeah, have given the answer. The ideal ratio of time spent in parasympathetic to the sympathetic nervous system should be as close to 50 to 50. So just like a day and night approximately is almost equal, 12 hours, 12 hours. So the time spent ideally should be equal between the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. But then the problem is in this day and age when we have so many things to do, we have assignments, we have job trials, we have everything to do. All we do is completely have a never ending to do list, right? And when the never ending to do list, we don't give the parasympathetic nervous system the time and the exact focus. Okay, so if you don't give the focus, right, what happens is mostly it will be always sympathetic nervous system. When everything is sympathetic nervous system, you have to think that when it is a sympathetic, it's like you are pressing the accelerator continuously without even stopping. Okay, so when you are continuously pressing the accelerator without stopping, body also has a wear and tear, right? So similarly, if you don't give the parasympathetic nervous system, that is the rest, the engine cannot cool down. So that is the thing which has to be happened. Okay, so yeah, I'll first talk about stages of sleep. Okay, so if you read anything about sleep, sleep is basically classified as two stages. One is called NREM, or non-rapid eye movement, and then the other is called REM, or the rapid eye movement. You can think it this way. So imagine that you are, let's say that I am there. I am climbing the hill. Okay, there is a hill kind of a thing. There's a hill. Okay, when I'm at the when I'm at the start of the hill, so imagine that this is a hill. Okay, this is a hill. Okay, so when I'm at the start base of the hill, okay, so I start climbing, but I just come maybe like 2% or 3%, but then immediately I realize that something I forgot. So I'll just again come back. So it is much easier. So you can think something like this. So at 10:30 when I'm just going to sleep, maybe like 10:40 or 10:45, if some sound or some noise or something, a power cut or anything happens, right, I will be immediately able to go back to sleep, go back to the base. So this is called as stage 1. So let's say at 10:45, then I start, so imagine again this is a hill. I start climbing up, 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 up. Okay, so this is the stage 2. Okay, so here if you ask me to come down the hill, so the effort is more. So similarly, at 11:30 or sometime, if you ask me to wake up, right, the effort will be more. So similarly, I keep going, I keep going, I keep going. Okay, so this is then stage 3 and stage 4. I go to the top of the hill, and then again I go down the hill. Okay, so this actually the cycle repeats multiple times. Okay, this is a cycle that repeats multiple times. So we start with the non-REM stage and then we end into the REM stage. REM stage is where maximum restoration and benefits happens to the body. So you have to think it that way. Okay, so we cycle in this stage. Okay, I'll first talk about my struggle with sleep first. Then actually I'll talk about how to improve, what to do to improve your sleep and what not to do. Okay, so if you people have watched, this is actually called as Russian dolls. Okay, so this big doll is there, right? Inside this there will be another small doll. Yeah, inside this there will be another small doll. Inside this doll goes. Inside this doll goes. And finally, to the outer world, only this doll is shown. Okay, so this is exactly how our personalities are also built. So today, what you are seeing of yours is just the outer doll, but there will always be some inner personalities which are there. So these you can think of as an inner children, or whatever you, however you name it. Okay, so for example, let's say that in my childhood I faced some issue, that when someone switched on the light, I couldn't go to sleep, right? So this is a danger which my brain sensed. If anyone was snoring, this is a danger which my brain sensed. If there was a power cut, I couldn't go to sleep. If my pillow got changed, these things got to sleep. So right now, the person who is on the outer is always on the lookout. Though these personalities are not seen, they are always on the lookout and searching for any dangers that are present over there. Okay, so this is the thing that happens. Yeah, so when we talk about the brain, if you understand, the brain's main purpose is to survival. It wants us to survive, it wants us to avoid pain and move towards pleasure. So this is the main design why the brain is there. But then if you see the previous case, right, all these things are pain. If someone switched on light, I couldn't go to sleep. If anyone is snoring, I couldn't go to sleep. If there is a power cut, I couldn't go. If there was a pillow change, I couldn't go to sleep. Right? So avoid pain. When avoid pain is there, our brains can't go to sleep. Okay. Yeah. So if you remember the starting diagram I showed about the sleepiness drive, right? So the ideal scenario is where you always want to go in this blue line where your sleepiness threshold has to build. But then if there is any pain, actually, let's say that you are surrounded by, like I explained this case where of fire, right? Your sleep drive has to not build. Your sleep drive has to go down because you have to solve a problem. So this is the typical problem which happens for people who are struggling with sleep. Instead of the sleep drive getting built, right, it starts going in the opposite direction. So we'll talk about what are the things that make the sleep drive go in this direction, the orange line. Then we'll talk about how you can move the sleep drive in this blue line. Yeah, the first and foremost thing, yeah, I don't know about you, but many people who struggle with sleep consume lots and lots of coffee. Yeah, it is mostly in the western side that people consume a lot of coffee. Coffee actually does not allow the sleep drive to get built. Yeah, and the usual culprit, many times people think that what's wrong, we can just have one alcohol, one and then go to sleep. But then the problem with alcohol is, though you may go into sleep, it compromises on the REM phase cycle of the sleep. And then the usual thing which most of us, I mean, many of us are guilty of having heavy dinner and having processed food. So the problem with having heavy dinner and processed food is, when you go and have your dinner and which is of processed food, what happens is the body temperature rises, and there is lot of energy that needs to be spent to digest the food. When body temperature rises, generally we don't sleep well. And then the other part, when you end the day with a feeling of anger, a feeling of anger on self or a feeling of anger on someone else. Because when you end the day with a feeling of anger, what happens is you are saying that there is some danger which has to be solved. So when there is a danger which has to be solved, your brain will not allow you to go to sleep. Instead, it wants you to go and fight that problem. Of course, the usual culprit, news channels. So whenever you watch any news channels, right, they are filled with lot of negativity, and there is very little things on which you can control. But still, these news channels will affect us. And the usual culprit, definitely screens. Screens by default are very addictive in nature. So, be it mobile screen or laptop or tablet or whatever may be the case, screens actually emit something called as a blue light, and this blue light has a detrimental effect on sleep. Yeah, things to do for good night's sleep. The first and foremost thing that you need to do for a good night's sleep is, the minute you wake up, okay, as soon as possible, within 15-20 minutes, expose yourself to broad day sunlight. Okay, so when you wake up and you see sunlight, right, what happens is your body understands that it is day, and it produces chemicals that are needed for your day to function. And as far as possible in the night, you need to dim your lights. And definitely, since we talked about heavy dinner, the other thing which we need to do is having dinner which is early. If you have your dinner early, the best part what happens is, your digestion, when you have your dinner, the body temperature increases. But then after your digestion is done, your body temperature slowly goes down. When your body temperature is down, it you will be able to sleep much better. And definitely the practice of meditation brings a lot of change. So what happens generally is, we are either in the past or in the present or in the future. I'm sorry, either in the past or in the future. So the practice of meditation, by just closing your eyes and concentrating on your breath, what you're actually doing is, you are bringing down the worries of the past and the worries of the future, and you are just staying in the present. At the present moment, there's nothing which you have to do. So then, when there is no danger, when you signal to your brain that there is no danger, you will be able to sleep much better. And the other practice that I would definitely recommend is ending the day with a feeling of gratitude. So when you end the day with a feel of gratitude, gratitude is nothing but being thankful for all the things that are there in your life. So it could start as simple as the eye, the ear, the nose, the mouth, the tongue, everything. So if you end the day with a feeling of gratitude, you are telling your brain that there is no danger. When there is no danger, your brain can relax, and then you can get a good night's sleep. Yeah, and definitely one of the most important thing that I've seen is, people on the weekdays and weekends is completely erratic sleep schedule. So on the weekdays they sleep at some time, on the weekends they Like let's say that on weekdays I wake up at 6:30, and on weekends people say like I'll wake up at 9:30, 10:30, or they wake up then again go to sleep. And it's like you're just like there's a clock, right? Our body inside also has a clock, and that clock gets completely messed up when you sleep at irregular times. Yeah, and coming on to one important thing, be it on the journey of improving your sleep, with the concept of persistence. I want to start share this with a small story, which it's there in my book also. So, if there was a very famous painter called Pablo Picasso. So, in the year 1900s, he was visiting New York. What happened was, seeing some brushes in his hand, a lady comes to him and asks, "Can you please draw a portrait of me, mine?" So Picasso was like, "Okay, I can do it." And then he immediately does it, and within 30 seconds he's able to do that artwork. And then she wants to find out casually like how much the artwork would have cost. So she goes to an auction center and then she asks, "What is the cost of this?" Then the auctioneer immediately recognizes that this is the work of Picasso, the world famous painter. And then he quotes a very huge money. Then the lady thinks that, "Oh wow, this guy just in 30 seconds is able to earn so much of money." But then Picasso says that you only see the 30 seconds of time that I'm spending on art. I have spent the last 30 years day in day out practicing, and only because I'm doing this day in day out 30 years with consistent practice, that is why I'm able to do it within 30 seconds. So whatever practice is there, you have to do these things regularly, and then you will see the results. Yeah, as an extra reading reference, yeah, I'll also share this PPT uh, with Karthik and his team, so you can see these videos. And definitely, you can also read my book called My Sleepless Nights: A Story of Victory or Insomnia. Yeah, so yeah, this is my email ID. You can note down. Yeah, I'll also type it in the chat just for all of you. If any time you have any questions that you want to ask.
Wow, what a wonderful knowledge given by you, sir. I hope our audience learned many new things from this session. Again, thank you for joining us and sharing your experience, your precious time and knowledge. Sir, there are a few questions which our audience want to be answered. So we will
Sure,
start with your permission.
sure, sure.
How much sleep do we really need?
Yeah, who asked this question?
Our YouTube audience.
Okay, YouTube audience. Okay. Uh, yeah. So we cannot quantify how much sleep we need, Karthik, because it is completely like, for example, uh, on a particular day, you may just need 6 hours of sleep, but on a particular day, you may need 8 hours of sleep. So we can't quantify the number of hours of sleep, but you can think it this way, because our day and night has been actual. If you see, in the last 200 years before, when there was no electricity, all people had to do when there was night was just go to sleep, nothing else to do. But then, so that is where we had to balance, we had the balance of doing these things. But now with electricity and internet and mobile everywhere, we cannot have that luxury of saying that this is the time to sleep, this is the time to work, this is the time to do anything. So it's like the boundaries are completely blurred. So we need to set a boundaries. And as a thumb rule, if you want to see, you can say something like 7 to 9 hours of sleep is something, as a uh, you can say like as a buffer, you can put between 7 to 9 hours is something that will help.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Mansa.
Sir,
Hel-
thank you for answering
Hello,
this.
Yeah.
hello.
Yes.
I'm GD Garg from Lucknow.
Yeah.
I I I find some problem in sleeping. Whether I should start prayer in the at the time of sleep.
Uh, Garg, actually, there are multiple things which you can
I'm
do.
70 years old. I'm
Yeah.
70 years old.
Okay. So, Garji, like you can do multiple things. One's a definite suggestion which I would like I talked about is the practice of meditation and the practice of gratitude.
Okay.
Yeah, when you end the day with the practice of gratitude, right? what happens is you are telling, see, the thing is, the more you fight sleep, okay, it happens, sir, with age. Many times you will have these issues with sleep, but the problem is the more you fight sleep, the more you say like, I want sleep, I want sleep, I want sleep, the more desperate you become, right? The difficult it becomes to sleep. So you need to go into a state of relaxation, and only when you are in a state of relaxation can you sleep much better.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Sir, what if we don't get enough sleep? What happens if we don't get enough sleep?
Okay. Yeah, that's an interesting question. Okay, so I'll just give with a simple example. Okay, so what happened? Real life, it happened with me in my thing itself. So what happened was, in Dashra vacation, we were about to go somewhere. Okay, we were about to go to a like, you can think like a outing holiday. Okay, so there was a suitcase. So my daughter, who is 10 years old, my wife told, you go and pack your toys. So you can imagine like the child who is bubbly, enthusiastic. So she's like so happy that she wanted to put all her toys in. So she started putting all her toys. A suitcase was completely full with only her toys and very little clothes. Our clothes were not fitted, and even my wife's clothes were not fitted. So we were wondering like, how can we manage with if she wants to take all these toys? Then my wife comes and says, like, we are just going for 3 days, and why do you want so many toys? Then she started removing the toys, which are so many there, and she then created that space so that our clothes can come in. So similarly, if you are not sleeping, right, what happens is our mind, to generally, you can see like, we have to learn, unlearn, learn, unlearn, learn, unlearn. So this is a process that happens day in, day out. So when you want to do this, you don't have reserve space, right? So how can you start fitting in things? So this is the biggest challenge that happens when you undersleep.
Okay. Thank you for answering this question,
Sir, I
sir.
have a question. May I?
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah. Sir, as you suggested, we have sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system, right?
Hmm.
So, sympathetic nervous system do may fill with this kind of stuff like negative thoughts or emotions or depression kind of mode when compared to parasympathetic. So, how to control this kind of negative thoughts or the negative kind of emotions before you are asleep?
Okay, so that's not like, who was the who asked this question? The person name.
I'm Manasa.
Okay, Manasa.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean that sympathetic and parasympathetic, sympathetic doesn't mean that you are in depression and all those things. It is
No.
just a way of, see, for example, just like we breathe in, right? We
Yeah.
also need to exhale. So inhale and exhale is there, right? So similarly, the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system is there. Okay.
No.
So to answer your question about the negative parts and all those things.
Yeah.
So the first thing you have to understand, Mansa, is we are human beings. We are not robots who are
Exactly.
programmed to just execute only one particular set of actions. That
Exactly.
never happens as such. Okay.
Yeah.
So you can say like, I will only think positive thoughts. You can do all these things, but
It
the
never
thing,
works
yeah, it
sometimes.
never works because we don't see, human beings are completely different than a machine. Okay, so
Exactly.
we have to accept that there will be days when there will be negativity in our life. So the more we say that I don't want negativity in our life, the more it comes. Okay, so we have to accept negativity in our life, and then, like I talked about, in the practice of gratitude, then you
Yeah.
end the day with a feeling of gratitude. So let's say that today I have read something which did not read, or today I smiled at someone, today I brushed my teeth, today I just listened to my favorite song, today I just watched some program. So if you end the day with a feeling of gratitude, what exactly you are doing is, slowly you are building that habit that you will slowly cut down on this. So you shouldn't say that I don't want negativity in my life. So just like, you will realize the power of day only when there is night. So you will realize something only when there is something opposite. Okay, so the yin and yang, so if you know this, it's called the yin and yang. So
Yeah.
that they are just things that are there, so they will always be there in life. Okay, so you have to accept that and then end the day with a feeling of gratitude. So if you are able to do that, you will be able to sleep much better.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you, sir, for answering this question. Sir, can you explain the what are the benefits of getting a good night's sleep for one success? One success.
Yeah. Yeah. So Karthik, you can, like I explained in the previous story from real life itself, you will be having, when you sleep well, your parasympathetic nervous system takes major precedence, and what happens is you will be able to uh, digest your food much better. You will be able to say, let's say that right now when I am talking right now and I'm moving my hands, there are many cells and tissues that are every day, every minute, they are getting generated, regenerated. Some are dying, some are doing all these things. Blood is flowing and all those things, so blood vessels are dying and all. So when you sleep, right, what happens is, you might have heard this saying that prevention is better than cure. So when you're sleeping much better, all your body is taken care where the by the parasympathetic nervous system, and all the cells and tissues that are died or they are compromised get start regenerating and get much better.
Okay, sir. Thanks for answering this question. That was a very good piece of advice. Thank you, sir, for answering these questions. Again, thank you all for attending today's webinar. And if you have any additional questions, you can contact us by using email or telephone. We are happy to provide additional support to you. Please follow on our social media and subscribe our YouTube channel. Thank you so much for cooperating. Stay connected to us for your new learnings. Chidalla Karthik is the host for today's event. Signing off. Have a wonderful day. Thank you everyone for joining us.